Welcome back to the Marshall Street podcast. This is a return. It's been a while between drinks. Isn't that right, Marshall?
It has indeed. This is the lockdown special, COVID edition.
We did one of those.
We have,
but now we're doing a remote COVID edition.
yeah, we haven't done an isolated one yet in two separate houses.
That's correct. So this is the first. This is the first for us. It's probably going to be awesome.
Well, it's because I'm involved.
You should set your expectations pretty high.
That's right.
I think. Yep.
So let's get straight into it, Stewie. What have you been doing during COVID?
Go for it.
So everyone knows we're in lockdown, stage 4, so you can't leave your house. There's a curfew. What are artists doing in lockdown, Stewie? What have you been doing?
So, well, we officially closed the studios, a week and a half now? It was last week or exactly a week ago.
I don't know what time is anymore.
Well, it's Wednesday, so we locked it down last Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, makes sense. Checks out.
Yeah, so since then I basically took all my gear home. So I had the room set up at the studios with my drums, guitars, all my interface, everything. So I didn't bring my drums home because there's not enough room, but brought all my guitars home, brought my microphone, just my vocal mic home, just in case we wanted to do something like this or if I wanted to sing or something like that. Brought my guitars home so I could plug them straight into my interface if I have any ideas, my keyboard, all of that. So all of the options available for songwriting. And yeah, I have been doing a little bit of that. I made a fucking drum and bass song the other week and it was interesting.
Nice.
I did, yeah, it was for the Beat Collective.
Yeah, I didn't listen to it.
It was for Beat Collective and it's good. Thank you.
I saw it and then chose to keep on scrolling.
Well, hey,
I'll check out the next one though.
Up to you. Yeah. So yeah, I've just I've set myself a schedule. I've kind of loosely been sticking to it. I have been actively looking for bands and artists to reach out to, for half an hour or so every morning, which has been good. I had a consultation with a band called Stax yesterday. That was good. Just kind of talk about where they're at, which was great. So yeah, I hopefully can do more of them if possible. Otherwise, I'll just keep songwriting. I've got
what sort of that's sick. The consultations are dope. What sort of stuff did they ask?
They wanted to know a little bit more about like recording in a professional studio and kind of how you would go about that. More like, if you have they didn't really know much about the pre-production process. So I just kind of walked them through how I go about that and the benefit of pre-production. It was pretty sick.
Yeah, nice.
It's good times. So it was good. And I know that there's a few mixed jobs coming up. So I'll get into them when they get sent through. But yeah, that's about me. What about you?
Yeah, I've been doing the opposite of a schedule for the last week or so. I've been playing it as it lies, as they say. My fucking marijuana
in the rough.
In the rough. Weed intake is through the roof, so that's good news for everyone listening. I've been kind of just taking some time, doing some self-reflection, meditating, listening to a lot of music again, kind of like just really listening. Just kind of getting caught up in music, which has been fucking fun.
Nice.
Kind of took some, just unplugged, took some time off, just give it with the intent to not do anything. It was kind of like, fuck it, there's no deadlines during this period. There's no one's waiting and shit. If they are, fuck them, they can wait. Just kind of going internal and fucking looking and thinking about things. And the last couple of days have been awesome. I'm like, fuck, I've been feeling getting my juices going again. Got some cool shit on the horizon.
No one wants to know about that.
Oh, business juices, Stewie. Let's keep this professional here, mate.
Yeah, good stuff.
But no, it's been good. Had a chat with
nice.
Ben Witkowski the other day.
Oh, did you? How's that going?
Fuck, man. I think we've had 2 calls. Like every 10 days or so, fucking one of us will call each other and we'll just and I'll be in like hysterics laughing. Like his points of
Yeah.
view on his view on life is some of the funniest shit I've heard. Like it is. I hung up and I was like, man, I felt so much better from being on the phone with him. It's
That's good
so
as.
good. He's a funny person.
Like,
I was telling.
Why do you think I love recording him?
Oh, dude, it's
hilarious.
like he's so. We should get him on the fucking remote podcast. He needs to put out more audio
That's
for
not a
his
bad
thoughts
idea.
on shit.
Not a bad idea. We'll make that happen
Yeah.
for sure.
Where's Biscuit?
Yeah, nice.
Can Biscuit make an appearance in the podcast?
No.
Ah, boo.
No. Yeah. Biscuit, for those that don't know, is my dog. His name's Bicky.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess let's kind of get a little bit more into, kind of more of what we usually do in our podcasts, which is try and discuss topics and give, some advice based on our experience and working in the recording studio and, working in the music industry and things like that. So I guess this being a bit more of a weird sort of period in time, it's kind of cool to think about, okay, how are things changing? And, how can you try and get ahead of others who might be not as reactive to the current situation and might be kind of thinking more, glass half empty in a way. So I think, did you have any thoughts straight off the bat of like how things are changing?
I don't know why I put the microphone to my mouth to clear my throat then. Yeah. Look, it's the glass half empty. I think it's easy to get sucked into a mind state of needing to be productive during this time. And I think by putting these internal deadlines or pressures that we just make up, by putting them on yourselves, we come up with this glass half. I think we just got to make sure that the people, like the artist, the person below the artist is good. Like make sure everyone's sweet. And I think whatever productivity looks like for the individual is what they should do at this point. I think that's kind of step one, is just recognizing that this is a unique position and it's not something we've seen before. So not being super fucking harsh on yourself about things that you would have otherwise, such as schedule or daily routine or things like that. And then also just understand that like everyone's going through the same thing. Like, I mean, by people in different countries, but it's kind of like, it just is what it is. I think you can't look at it from a negativity. You just go, okay, well, fucking shit's changed. We're not going to have concerts. We're not going to have big venues. We're not going to have fucking festivals over New Year's. I think it's taken some of the things that you make music for, I guess, off the table. So now it kind of gives you a bit more freedom just to what you do creatively, because you can be like, all right, look, I'm just going to fucking game and stream for fucking, a couple of months, because guess what? There isn't going to be big shows. Like there just isn't. But you can still get out and do shit in front of people. You can still engage with an audience. You can still, whether that's write tracks or learn new shit, write new shit, learn a new instrument. You've started teaching me drums during kind of this. And it's kind of like, you've just got to find another creative outlet, as well as, I guess, trying to pivot and manage ways to generate income through stuff like that. So I think it's kind of...
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I was having a similar conversation to Stacks yesterday, and we were talking about, look, live gigs, there's a very big chance that they won't come back till mid-time next year, like June or something, or even later next year. So that is one thing that you can completely eliminate from your planning, or even thinking about it, because
take it off the table.
It's just something that's not there. So how do you balance your time? You don't have to put all of your time and mental energy into, what you're doing as a creative person. Even if you're doing it full time, there is leeway for you to take some time away from it now, because like you said, there's not as much pressure on deadlines and things like that. I guess the flip side to that though is, if you do want to, be more prolific you have the chance to do that because there's really not anything stopping you technology-wise.
There's no barrier to entry now. Like it's literally
no one's got expectations on how produced your music needs to be. A good song's a good song at the end of the day. So, you really can make do with what you've got. And, there's people like me out there that have the gear at home to be able to help with it. So, there's people you can reach out to give it a bit of a polish. Doesn't have to be the most, radio friendly mix or anything like that. A good song is a good song. So
yeah, I mean,
that's kind of how
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And what I was going to say there is, Beastie Boys put out a whole album called Some Old Bullshit. It was literally just fucking old. Like, you can go through and pick up old tracks that you haven't fucking played through that are, you haven't played in years and be like, all right, fuck it. For COVID, we're just going to go and fucking play and demo some old tracks. Like, you can do anything.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of,
Absolutely.
live shows, definitely, I'd 100% just take live shows off the table. Don't even think about them. For the bigger artists, I'd say the reason to think about them, or if you've got a booking agent, the reason you do want to be included in the mix is because although they're all going to get canned, when they get re-announced, you want to be first up. So it's like, all right, well, we were on the first announcement. Now that they get re-announced, we're still in the fucking lineup. That's really the reason to be in the mix. But they're not going to go ahead. And then, so I'd be going, cool, well, if you're not going to fucking get 100 people in a room together, if you're an artist, you've still got to try to build your audience. Like, Spotify is fucking huge right now. So many people listen to music.
Yeah.
Instead of working on your live set, like, find who are curating some fucking playlists. Find some people in some countries that you wouldn't have usually reached out to. Send some emails in that regard. Try get some placements on Spotify. Find out how playlisting works a bit better. Go more in depth. Is there more shit you can learn about that? Because you can build some huge fucking numbers off some pretty fucking basic and kind of fundamental understanding of Spotify. And fucking it means that your stock for your artist, your fucking net worth of the artist, your perceived value is going to go up, because once shows get announced, you're probably going to have a higher fucking booking fee if you've got an extra 10, 20,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. Like, you're going to be in the mix for better shows once they reopen.
Yep. I do want to talk about that a little bit more, and kind of a bit of a trend that I've been seeing online, which is people directing everyone to somewhere else. For example, if they're on Instagram, they're like, go to my Spotify to listen to my song, go to my YouTube, do this, do that. And it's kind of like you're not really thinking about how you can use that profile, that platform to the best of your ability. The reason why Instagram is there is so that you can do things like go live, upload small video clips, behind the scenes footage, photography, all these things that you've built up over time, hopefully, and using that to your advantage, and remembering that these days it's not enough to just be, here's my song. You can't just direct people to your music. At the end of the day, the music is what you want people to hear. I totally get that, but it's not enough, in my opinion, to just release music and that's it. Because no one, why would someone choose to listen to you over someone else if there's no other,
If they don't know you.
Yeah, if they don't know you. And even looking back, 10, 15 years, it still rang true then that the biggest artists, using example, someone like Hanson. Do you remember Hanson?
Yeah.
Like everyone knew who they were. They were three brothers. Everyone,
I thought there was only two
super
of them.
fans knew exactly what. No, there's three in the band. Well, you didn't obviously know about them, but their super fans did. But their fans knew so much about them that they, how they grew up, what instruments they played, how they learnt their instruments, all that sort of stuff.
How did they learn their instruments?
That stuff is, you know what I mean? Don't give me shit. So that was so important for people to have more of an understanding about who they were listening to, even back then. But now with the amount of different music that you can listen to at your fingertips. You don't have to pay for it to be able to access music these days. So I think that that's something that's really important to think about, especially now when there's so much spare time. You can really be uncovering yourself, going backstage as such. It's not, actually
Where
backstage.
would they go backstage at?
But you're showing people... Stop picking at everything I'm saying.
I'm just confused. Where are we backstage?
Well, behind the scenes is more an accurate term.
You are absolutely right there, Stewie. And I think the other thing they can do is just like online networking. Like for as little as fucking literally an hour a day, you can just go through and meet people on Insta and email people. And because everyone's online now, there's no, as I said, other real pressures of extreme deadlines that are on. Like literally online network. Reach out to people, ask, hey man, do you know anyone at fucking such and such label? Can you introduce me to this person? Just kind of get back to, I guess, the core fundamentals of stuff, and let the cards kind of fall where they will, I guess.
Yeah, it's a really good time because there isn't a barrier like there used to be to, we used to think that people that were, in the music industry, it's like this secret space.
It is.
Like you had to, it was like almost Illuminati.
Isn't it? I thought it still was.
Like you had to be someone, like you had to have worked, and maybe you did have to work your ass off to get to where, and you still do, I'm sure, but you know what I mean? Like there was like this how did they get to be that?
Behind this mystic red curtain of the music industry. Yeah, and I think it's like,
but now it's kind of
everyone's got options. Like you can, back before, it's like if you didn't have access to Sing Sing, or if you didn't have the money to get in a studio, it was very hard to be able to record and have your music heard by people outside when you were directly playing it. So it's like now that all those barriers have been bit by bit stripped away through the internet, through distribution, through all of these things now being accessible to everyone, like you can, obviously you said, the worst, not the worst, there's no right or wrong, but what people want to start doing is going, okay, especially independent artists, we can have access to all this distribution and it's super sweet. You pay a low fee, you pay $20 a year and you get to release anything you want and it gets pitched to Spotify and shit. But take more, I guess, onus over what happens after, like the release of it. It's like, just not just dropping it onto the internet and hoping it does something. Like
that's the thing, And this is it's like, oh, listen to my song. It's like, well, why should I?
But there's even, I found for me it was going and just seeing how other people did it. Like it's kind of like you don't know what you don't know, and I think artists can. When coming up, if you haven't heard of a release plan or release campaign, you're like, what is that? Like you haven't heard it before. And then there's a lot of people who make up, and there's no right or wrong, but it's kind of like by exposing yourself to how other people do shit and how they put out, just go ask fucking 10 artists, hey man, when you release a song, what happens? Do you reach out to editors yourself? Do your management ask them? Because they're all going to come back with 10 different things, and you'll probably pull 10 bits of useful information out that you can use towards your next release. But I think sometimes we get stuck in the thinking of, oh man, this is what I did for last release, and so this is what I'm going to do here. It takes something going really bad for us to have to go, okay, fuck, now I need to rebuild everything. I really need to take this shit seriously. This last one fucking flopped. Now I got to do something. Because it's.
Yeah, there's steps that you can take to try and to maximize the song's potential. And even if you're not covering all of your bases, and some people don't even send out press releases and things like that. It's like, well, you can't expect to get something out of it when. How do you expect someone to hear about you in the media or in the music publication world? How can you expect them to hear about you? They're not looking on Spotify.
They're not searching
for random
you got to always
artists.
think.
It's like they've got more things to do.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to always think like these.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're a starting artist, starting out grassroots, if say you're fucking, sub 10,000 on socials and everything. Like, you've got to be thinking, all right, how do I get the people who don't know of me to know me? It's not a matter of, oh man, everyone fucking knows me and let's just release hits. Like, you've got to think, people out there who have no idea who you are, how do you get in front of them? And it's
This is exactly how people get stuck in that only their friends and family know about them stage, which is super common. And even with live gigs obviously is a really great way for people that don't know you to be able to find you because you play with their friends' bands and they're there to support their friends' band, and then your band is playing as well. Great exposure. But think about the internet, like how many million people are on the internet. Like, it's crazy.
Oh, and you literally a DM away from talking to anyone. And again, how you go about that is completely personal. If you just jump straight in and fucking start asking for features and shit, probably no one's going to reply to you. And then the other thing I think artists should do is go in and really kind of try to separate their own ego from it, but look at how other people release shit. Scroll through your feed, even if you don't like the music, like separate yourself from the creative content of it and just literally go, cool, how are they putting this out? Like, if big artists are only giving shit a week lead time, as they have been for the last year or longer, 2 years, is it needed that I am spruiking my single for 4 weeks? Like, and you go through, because, man, like, I can tell you, if I see out in 4 weeks, coming soon, track in 4 weeks, if I see that shit for 3 weeks, I'm already sick of the fucking track and it's not out yet. Like, you had my attention in the first post. You go, hey, track out now. If I'm in the fucking mood, I'll click. If not, sorry, you might get me on the next run. But 4 weeks of being in front of someone's face going, hey, coming soon, is not the right approach, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. And again, 2 years ago, I would have told you something different. So these things constantly change. How we service and how we release tracks has changed in fucking the last 6 months. So it's not just, it's never a cookie cutter and it's never a fucking set and forget. But the best way is just look at what other artists are doing, what worked for them, what didn't work for them. If you can kind of separate your own ego from it, go, how did this make you feel? So, did this feel really salesy to you? Do you think this was done well? What do you like about this artist? All those sort of things. It's just super easy to document it, put it together, and then each release, bit by bit, just gets fucking tighter and tighter. You start realizing that, fuck, I'm emailing the same people who run the same publications every fucking release. Let's be friends with them. Then all of a sudden, you've got 8 to 10 to 15 people in your extended network that are always across your tunes, that you're emailing, that you're talking to. Now you're fucking in the system. Now you're in the Illuminati circles. But you've made it yourself. Like, you've initiated those conversations with the people that are fucking... And it's not by going in and penetrating these fucking... It's by going in and literally doing the job that you should be doing. If servicing your track, you're going to be talking to publications, form good relationships with them. If you're putting shit out with your distributor, who are they? Form those relationships with them. It's like what Tony Jack the Bear says. He goes, the best way to get your foot in the door is to build your own fucking door. It's like, just go and make all the relationships yourself. They're out there. They're just real people. Start emailing and just talking to them. And then you'll see next release, oh man, cool, fuck, they added this to their weekly roundup. Oh man, I popped up on this playlist. And then sure enough, bit by bit, you string together all these little wins along the way. You keep polishing your craft and meeting people and being a good person. And then fucking 2-3 years later, you're like, whoa, look, I'm now a semi-established artist. I've got people know about me. You've got a platform. You're building. And if you enjoyed the process, then that's the fucking game. Then you're on. You just keep leveling up bit by bit. And you enjoy the fucking wins along the way.
Yep, 100%. So I guess when we're talking about like the near future, it's very difficult to predict what's coming because we don't know when the vaccine's coming. That means that, planning things is so difficult. But when it comes to what plans artists and bands can put in place now when they're thinking about the future, what kind of things spring to your mind?
I would say to pull at 2 different threads in this period. You want to, 1, get through the next 6 months, get to the end of the year, whatever that looks like. If that's just fucking not putting anything out but working on yourself, whatever it looks like to get to the end of the year. And then assessing and putting together some long-term plans in January. I think you can't make any big movements or start to think about what direction things are going to eventually end up, because that could just, the carpet could get swept from under you at any fucking minute. So I think it's all right, in these times, in these COVID fucking restrictions, what can we do for the next 6 months? All right, cool. We're just going to do a live stream once a week. We don't know if it'll build a big fan base, but we're going to do it to keep things moving, to keep a light schedule going. So just do whatever that is, a COVID, I guess, restricted planning for the next 6 months till the end of the year. And then in January, being okay with, all right, now we're going to assess things and put together a yearly plan. Ideally, yes, you would put a fucking 2021 plan together now and you can fucking do all your quarterly planning, but we just don't kind of have that liberty. And I think so it's for people who like planning, it's hard, but you just kind of let go of it and go, cool, the next 6 months is almost a write-off. It's like just put together a 6-month plan. It's a short interim plan to get to, all right, let's see where we're at the start of next year.
Yeah, I think now is a great time to be utilizing what you've already got, one. So going back into your, catalog of music, videos, pictures, things like that, stuff that you can actually use that you built up over the time of before this, and redistribute it, put it out again, make, posts about past songs, how you got to writing them, the recording process, all that sort of stuff.
That's the biggest thing people want to see. Yeah. Obviously, as an artist, you do want to keep some things to yourself. You don't want to let everything out of the bag, and there is some vulnerable parts to songwriting. But if you can show your process, even if it's parts of it, that's fucking great. People want to watch that. It's like, imagine if you could watch fucking, whoever go about writing their tracks earlier. It's like just watching the process of people do shit is cool.
Yeah. And then the other side to it is obviously, especially for Victoria, because we're in lockdown, or Melbourne, you can't rehearse. There's no way that you can possibly rehearse. So what better time to be songwriting by yourself, sharing all of your ideas over the internet to your other band members, really building up a bank of stuff so that when you can get back to rehearsing and getting back into the rehearsal room together, you can really go hard at working on all of this bank of stuff that you've built up, in this short term over however many months it might be. You can really, when gigs start to, open up, whenever they do, you'll have a really good bank of, fresh new stuff that you've been working on and refining in the period when you haven't been able to play gigs. What better time to do that than now? So start writing, demos to yourself, send them to each other. Then when you can get into the rehearsal room, really work on getting the songs as tight as possible so that when gigs start opening up, you can play some really, really good gigs and start impressing people.
Yep. 100, but even in that, I wouldn't even thought of doing that till next year. Like, I think for bands who are getting through this point, I'd think just keep rehearsals off the table. Like, don't even think about it. That's obviously where you want it to go. But next 6 months is like, just do that. Songwrite with new people. Even do it over Zoom or something like that. Find ways to get in touch, with new people. And I guess, I don't know, do what you can to kind of keep things rolling without live shows, because they're just not going to be here.
The other reason, though, to keep rehearsing when you can, when it's possible, when it's safe to do so, is just to keep those chops up, though. It's a form of practice, and rehearsing your instrument by yourself is great, but rehearsing it with other people is something else entirely. So to me, that if you're a band and you are wanting to be a live performing band, that is still something that's really important. Whether you can play gigs or not, I still think that that's a form of practice and refining your abilities. So to me, that's still something that's important if that's the angle that you want to go down. If you're just a songwriter, if you're just like releasing music and things like that, I agree. Just don't even think about it. Focus on all your songs. But really, my point of saying all that is there's all of these numbers of different things that you can be doing right now. Whether it's possible or not, the act of doing it and keeping your brain active in this sort of period is really important, because if you want to come out of the gate swinging when things can happen, then you'll set yourself up for success there.
Nice. Wise words there from Stewie. Wise words indeed.
Wanker. Yeah, sweet. Nice. So we've got some pretty cool things planned. We are going to be having a few chats with Coach Canatelli.
Coach.
We've got some things penciled in. Look forward to that over the next couple of weeks.
Going to have more remote
that,
podcasts.
Yep. We'll try and get some guests on.
Stewie has pledged not to shave until stage 4 lockdown ends. Thank you, Stewie.
Well, I don't know if I can. I just don't know if it's possible, you know?
We're going to see how long his quarantine beard can get.
The thing is, it grows out and I look like a bushman. Yeah, you don't want that.
It's gold.
I like it nice and refined.
But yes, we will be coming back into the airwaves more frequently now. I think, as you mentioned, we'll have Coach, a few other guests involved, and we'll casually work our way through whatever is on our mind during this COVID period.
Yep.
Awesome.
Nice one. Well, yep. Thank you for joining us again. Like, subscribe, all that sort of business. And yeah, we will catch you next time for the next Marshall Street podcast. Thanks, Marsh.
Thank you. Enjoy, everyone. Peace.